Alright, guys. Welcome to Dropping Dimes. I'm your host, Flavo Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Alright, guys. So tomorrow, technically today, alright, game one of the NBA Finals, alright. Who would have thought coming into this season, at the start of the season, that we were going to have the Milwaukee Bucks, which some people predicted, alright. I know as we were going more and more deeper into the season, we're like, it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets, it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. And I thought so too. I would be one of those proponents that said, hey, Brooklyn's going to go to the finals, alright. I just didn't count on injuries, and that's okay, because injuries are part of sports, alright. But we got the Milwaukee Bucks representing the East, right? And I had told you guys in a previous video that, hey, the winner of the Milwaukee-Brooklyn Nets series is going to represent the East. And I called it. And I said, hey, it doesn't matter if Atlanta or Philly wins moving on to the conference finals. Milwaukee's going to end up coming out on top. And I was a little bit nervous because of the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo ended up hyperextending his knee, trying to go defend an alley-oop by Clint Capella. Very scary stuff. He still hasn't played. Didn't play in games of, 5 and 6, happened in game 4. First thing I thought of was like, hey, you know what? Maybe this is partially a karma, right? Karma because of the aspect of when he didn't allow Kyrie Irving to land properly. It was one of those things. It was a freak moment. I'm like, well, it's one of those unusual things that you don't tend to see. But yeah, so Milwaukee ended up handling through, even without Giannis in those last 2 games. They still came out on top. All right, perfect, fine. Now going into the West, right? Very interesting matchup. I really love the matchup, honestly. It possibly could have gone 7 games, but I think it was just more of a burnout in Game 6 that ended up occurring. The Phoenix Suns versus the LA Clippers, right? Kawhi Leonard got hurt in I believe it was Game 5 of the semifinals between the Clippers and the Jazz. I think he ended up getting colliding with Joe Ingles, if I'm not mistaken, or Bojan Bogdanovic. Anyways, Kawhi did not, show up. Was not dressed up for the conference finals. Was hurting. Injury timetable was not, disclosed. And it was kind of frustrating as a fan because I wanted to see, what was going to happen with Kawhi Leonard, how this team would have done. But Paul George was phenomenal, right? Paul George was phenomenal. And they were facing the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix, did their work, ended up getting past, the Lakers, who were the at that time, the defending champs. Getting past the Denver Nuggets, who also were in the Western Conference Finals last year. And they ended up facing the Lakers. They ended up getting bounced out in 5 games. And, they led by CP3. Devin Booker, first time in the playoffs. DeAndre Ayton, first time in the playoffs. DeAndre Ayton, in my opinion, has grown exponentially since the acquisition of CP3. Devin Booker has not shied from the moment, even though this is his first playoff run. Looks like he's been here quite some time. Both teams ended up facing each other, Clippers and Suns, and the Suns ended up coming out on top. Paul George looked phenomenal. Even without Kawhi Leonard, he ended up reverting back to the Indiana Pacers Paul George, as opposed to the Paul George we've been seeing in the last couple of years. No more pandemic P or way off P or pathetic P or whatever we want to call him P. This guy was phenomenal, and he held his own. He showed why he is a true all-star, borderline potential of a superstar. But they just didn't have their best player, and they were burnt out. Paul George played the most minutes by any player, left in the playoffs, and it just showed that he didn't have the legs anymore to continue. Same thing that we saw with Kevin Durant. But I'm not using these things as excuses. It's just because, we didn't use excuses for, why the Chris Paul teams in the past, weren't able to get the job done, even though they had good teams. Chris Paul and James Harden, Houston Rockets, Chris Paul's Lob City, LA Clippers teams. And we got to give the Suns, their dues, their respects, because they were able to hang on, even with Chris Paul catching COVID and stuff like that, they were able to hang on, and now they're in the NBA Finals. They're meeting the Milwaukee Bucks. Game 1 is tonight. I believe it's at 9 o'clock. Cannot wait. Honestly, going into the series, I'm like on the fence. I'm like, it really matters on health wise. Is Giannis going to be 100% healthy for the NBA Finals? It doesn't have to be for Game 1, but just for the entirety of the NBA Finals. I'm not 100% sure. But if we have to say, if he's going to be 100% healthy, this series could possibly go 6 games, maybe even 7. But with that being said, I am picking the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA Finals and them host the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the very first time in their franchise. I mean, we never expected these two teams to make the finals. It's been a crazy year. A bunch of injuries happening in the playoffs, all right? Not just with Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant or this, that, and the third. Numerous amount of players of All-Stars have been missing games in the playoffs, and I believe it's just because of the fact that the quick turnaround of the from the finals and in the playoffs of last year going into this year, a 72-day gap. But those are no excuses. We finally got here. The Suns battled their way over here. The Bucks battled their way over here. Drew Holiday, when this guy's not trying to force shots or anything like that, he's looking pretty good. Brook Lopez, when he doesn't try to go and hang out by the 3-point line and him battle in the paint, he looks phenomenal. PJ Tucker is a culture setter. He is doing what he's supposed to do. And Chris Middleton, one of the best mid-game shooters that we have in today's game. He doesn't always have to shoot threes, but if he needs to shoot about 4 to 5, that's more than good. Anything above that, I don't want to see Milwaukee shoot more. Don't want Milwaukee's Chris Middleton to shoot more than 5 threes, just because Milwaukee isn't a great 3-point shooting team, and they're very good at dominating the paint. As for the Phoenix Suns, they're led by Chris Paul, who is an orchestrator, who knows how to handle pace, control the tempo, and control the whole game. With Devin Booker, who is a phenomenal, who carries that Mamba mentality, and DeAndre Ayton, who plays like a man amongst boys. I mean, I can't remember the announcer. I don't know if it was Mark Jackson or anything like that, or if it was maybe like Stephen A. Smith that had said it at one point. But they had said that DeAndre Ayton looks like the modern day version of David Robinson. I don't know if that's true or not, but this guy looks great. He handled himself with Anthony Davis. He handled himself with what's it called, the Joker, Nikola Jokic, who is the MVP. He handled himself with the bigs that they have to offer with the Clippers, with Zubac and everybody else. All right, DeMarcus Cousins. Will he be able to handle himself with the bigs that they have to offer in Brook Lopez, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and so much more? We will have to wait and see. I think that, me personally, that's the matchup to see. If he's able to guard and be the better big man that he is against Brook Lopez, that's a matchup that we should be able to look out for. I think also another matchup we're going to see is Drew Holiday or PJ Tucker going to be able to stop Devin Booker, because I imagine it's going to be it's going to be a combination of Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and PJ Tucker trying to contain and trying to slow down the pace of Devin Booker, because when Devin Booker gets hot, he's unstoppable. I mean, this guy can explode. We've seen it before. He did it at TD Garden. He ended up going for 70 points. All right, he has that in his arsenal where he can explode and drop you 40, maybe even 50 points in a playoff game. That's an X factor right there. The defense of Milwaukee, are they going to be able to stop Devin Booker from going berserk? And then lastly, the point guard battle. Drew Holiday versus CP3. Obviously, CP3 is a better point guard than Drew Holiday, but can Drew Holiday apply that pressure on CP3? I'm pretty sure if CP3 is healthy, it's not gonna matter. And also Monty Williams versus Mike Budenholzer. All right, how would Mike Budenholzer utilize his bench? How would he try to bring in Bobby Portis to come into play? How will Monty Williams try to utilize his bench? I mean, he has Cam Johnson, Cameron Payne. he has a list of players on his bench that can be firepower for the Phoenix Suns. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to. I have the Suns winning in 6. It's not going to be an easy series. I'm pretty sure 2, maybe even 3 games are going to come down to the very wire. I think if Giannis is healthy, he's going to be able to get his own 30. But I felt like in the last couple of games, the Bucks have played phenomenal without Giannis. They've been sharing the ball. The role players have been getting more touches, more shots taken. They've been able to take more shots. With Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's going to drive in, do his things, do a Euro step or a spin around and try to, yam it on you in the paint. But I just think that Monty Williams is smart enough, CP3 is smart enough to try to come up with a game plan to disrupt Chris Middleton, to bother Brook Lopez, make him jack up a bunch of unnecessary threes, and make sure you build a wall for Giannis Antetokounmpo and make him beat you at the 3-point line. Alright guys, so yes, that's what covers it for me for the finals. Tomorrow's the finals. I cannot wait. I got my score in my head. I'm thinking more or less it's probably going to be something around the ballpark of 115 Suns, 108 Bucks. That's my score for tomorrow. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys later. And thank you for tuning in to Dropping Dimes, alright? I'm your host, Slava Oriana, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one.